Your hands together for Joey Jalleo!
Does this look right? Earlier he said he wanted it 2 inches from my chin, and it took me a minute to figure out he was talking about the mic. Alright, so I was just in Beirut recently, and for Brooklyn in the house, that's Beirut, Lebanon, not Beirut the band. I'm assuming you guys needed to hear that. Okay. So 2 days before we left Beirut, all hell broke loose. There was riots, there was protests, it was fucking utter mayhem. Do you want to know what it was all about? It was all over a 20-cent proposed tax on WhatsApp calls. I know. I don't know why they went up with WhatsApp either. If I were prime minister, I would have gone with a shit ton more revenue with taxing Grindr. With all that money, they could outfit the whole of Hezbollah with a way cuter camo. But imagine being at that cabinet meeting, though, all those stodgy politicians sitting on that table, all agreeing that taxing WhatsApp is the way to go. But in the corner, there's this fancy little cabinet member with Grindr open on his phone, and he's like, "Excuse me, hello, excuse me, guys, excuse me, God, why doesn't anyone ever listen to me? Guys, there's this app, ooh, message. Hey, hot falafel balls. I'm sexy shawarma. Send pic of your kebab. Send." So I don't know if any of you have ever been to Beirut during any kind of civil unrest, but it's a little bit like trying to get out of Trader Joe's on the weekend. It's sort of life or death. And because of the protests, my sister and I had to get out as soon as we could, right? So on our way to the airport, it was like crazy. The roads were blocked, there was fires everywhere, people were in the streets, they were screaming, they were chanting, they were waving flags. It was a little bit like New York Gay Pride. But honestly, not as scary. So the cabbie takes us as far as he can go, which is about a mile before the airport. And from that point, we had to hop on the back of these rickety mopeds driven by soot-covered Syrians who took us through the rest of the mayhem and straight to the terminal. Normally, that's a $150 Wonders of Beirut package on Expedia. But I got it for $50 because I can negotiate in Arabic. All right, so now we're at the airport. And do you guys remember that movie Argo, where the U.S. Embassy is swarmed by Iranian militants and everyone's taken hostage except for 6 people that managed to get out and go into hiding, and then back home Ben Affleck hears about it because of course Ben Affleck hears about it, and then he comes up with this crazy idea to like fake produce a movie, say these people were just location scouts caught in the crossfire, go to Iran and smuggle them out, right? And then there's a scene at the end of the movie where it looks like his plan might just work, and they're all in line at customs, right? But across town in Baghdad, the cops have all these little children putting together little shredded pieces of paper of everyone that worked at the U.S. Embassy because they just don't believe that those 6 people are who they say they are, right? But back at the airport, they've already made it through customs, they're on the plane, and the door's closing just as their photos are coming together with the cops, and the cops have just realized that they've been duped, so now they call customs, and customs is like, what? We just let them through. And then it cuts to the scene where like, the plane is racing down the runway, the cop cars are chasing the plane, the people on the plane are freaking out because they just want to get the fuck out of Iran. Remember that? Yeah. So our experience was nothing like that. We checked in. Bought some baklava at the gift shop. Had some dried chicken in the lounge upstairs. Departed on time and landed safely in the U.S. the next day. So by now, I think you realize I'm Lebanese and I'm from LA. Growing up with 2 immigrant parents was not always that easy, and I have to say to parents, because the Lebanese do not divorce. They just live with each other miserably until one of them refuses to make any more tabbouleh. She knows. And if that doesn't work, they riot and protest like we just learned. I do feel bad for my parents, though, coming to this country, and trying to figure out how to bond with two kids without any kind of military training. One summer I remember I was sent to camp, except I was sent to Arab camp, which basically is like ISIS training for tots. We made lanyards for tying up the bad kids. We ran relay races through barbed wire. We played hide and go seek in head-to-toe camo for maximum efficiency. It was a riot. Like, literally, they made us a riot before every meal. Childhood was not really the problem, though I had a really good time. It's adulthood that I'm having issues with, as you can see from this midlife crisis comedy showcase. But I'm working on it. I'm currently reading shit like Eckhart Tolle and listening to like Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. Lots of fun. The book I'm reading by Eckhart is called A New Earth, and it's all about how the ego totally fucks you up. Here I was thinking that my ego was the source of my overconfidence, but in reality, it's the reason I sit at home watching the Long Island Medium and crying like a little bitch. It's true. Totally not lying. In addition to the book, though, there's a podcast between Eckhart and Oprah that breaks down the book chapter by chapter. And in one of the chapters, Eckhart is doling out his infinite wisdom, and Oprah totally interrupts, and she's like, "Oh my God, tell the duck story!" It's a podcast. I don't know if she went like that, but we're pretty safe to assume that she did. So if you guys don't know, Eckhart is like this super woke German guy who apparently has everything figured out because the Germans are amazing at everything except winning world wars. And so he starts telling this story, and I'm totally paraphrasing here. Yeah, so one day, I woke up and I was like so sad. I was like totally suicidal. So I went to the park, and I sat there by the water, and it was so beautiful. It was like the sun was glistening, the water was lapping. And then, all of a sudden, these two ducks came out of nowhere, and they swam up to each other, and they just stared at each other, and I was like, oh no, what is going to happen? And then they attacked each other and started making like quack quack. And this lasted for like a minute or so, and then they just stopped and swam away. And in that one moment I realized, life is so fleeting. And I did not kill myself. Are you fucking kidding me? 2 ducks saved this motherfucker's life? Where the fuck am I gonna find 2 ducks in December? They've all flown south, right? Getting through this book is going to be harder than getting out of Beirut.